It has been a year since Aria Blaze and her friends, the dancelings, were cast out from school. They were expelled. But over the past year, Aria Blaze had been thinking about since they lost their power, or at least the ability using their elements of the amulets to draining magic from basically from anyone. But ever since they started to use without magic but doing performance, Aria has decided maybe she wants to do something else. Ever since that they cannot use magic anymore, or they cannot go back to Equestria. Even since they started a band again, they performed on small places, markets, just a small performance. But Aria Blaze had lately been thinking maybe that she could find another career. And she found out that he was good at cooking. And but she wanted to go to continue to to work and at a cook or at least a restaurant or something. And she tried to apply for one, and the director saw how good she were until he discovered she didn't have any high school diploma. She didn't complete high school. And he only said once to her, "You cannot work here anymore if you take graduation from the high school. I cannot hire anyone who has had to be at least finished high school." She tried to find a way to explain to him, but how would she explain to him that she's from another world and that she used magic to be controlling the high school? So she told him that she will try to go back to high school and finish it. But she asked him if she would be going to return back to the restaurant after she finished. The owner said that he couldn't promise right now, but he will try to make that happen. But he couldn't say for sure if it could happen. He will try. And that was the best idea she had for the moment. Even if she would try to find another restaurant in the area, they probably would have the same thing. So, the next day, she told her friends when they came back from one of the performance, telling them, "I am going back to Candlelight High." And both the friends were just looked at her, and they were stunned. Audacio, she was just laughing a little bit, thought she believed Aria were just a joke. But Sonata, by the way, she saw that Aria was serious. And Aria explained she had to find a work that she liked, but the owner discovered that she hadn't even completed high school. But Audacio said, "How would you even complete high school? You hadn't even been to elementary school, middle school, or anything like that. So why would they hire you if you complete high school?" But Aria was a little bit angry about that. He said, "I'm trying to make another living. Something, let's say for sure, for example, if this performance we do that won't even last for much longer. I mean, we don't get much paid in the small performance we do, and we don't have performance like every day. Sometimes we don't even have enough for food or the rent we pay in a car or even gas. So how would you explain that part? If we had another part, another sort of income for us to be able to get paid for food, gas, and perhaps even anything we need." And Snada looked at Aria, and she had an idea. Maybe that she has a point. Just think about it. We barely had any food for today for food or gas. An area. She had actually find this one solution. But Audacio, She believed that they still had a better chance to be performing on streets and parks and things, but realizing that that area had a point. They haven't get much paid, even if they perform in the local parks for, but they only sometimes get maybe around 20 to maybe 40 or perhaps the most $50 at the one's performing. And if that area, she explained that the pay for the restaurant would around $200 per week, which would be enough for them, plus the money they performers would be at least the sort of money that they could have gas and money and any basic needs. So Area thought, alright, if I cannot continue to work there, I need to complete high school. So they all decided maybe they should try to all go back to high school. So that the next day of that, they actually went back to Kentland High School. And as soon as students saw them, they were just stunned, shocked, seeing the Darslings all returned. Some even had even ran to see to tell Sunset and Applejack who were in the cafeteria. When they found out, they was like, "Are you serious? They're back? And where are they?" And they explained that they saw they went to Principal Celestia's office. They all went there, and they were standing outside waiting to hear them singing, but it was not singing. All they heard was just talking. They could hear that Audacio Aria talk to Principal Celestia and Vice Principal Luna if they could be allowed to go back to school, because Aria had explained that she had found a job, but she was only allowed to have it if she had completed high school, not otherwise. And if they didn't need it, but since they also explained that they didn't have any magical abilities anymore like that before, they were now powerless, and they tried to work it out to be better in society. They had redeemed themselves, and that even Luna could confirm that because she has seen the Dazzlings happen before on the street, the park, or any other public places. And since they couldn't never use any magic, they actually used their own talent they had trained for. So Luna talked to her sister and maybe said that she could give them at least a second chance to prove themselves. If they show any sort of power, hunger, or magic, or at least using any sort of magic, they would all be thrown out of school and never be accepted a second and third time. They all agreed on that. But even after the next day afterwards, when they came back to school, Sunset and including everyone at the school were on high alert, all suspicious. They all knows about the Danslings. How much could they be in much in trouble this time? Since before they used the magic to be able to drain the other people's emotions. But they knew that the Sunset and her friends also use magic, but always to help and protect the good side, not for evil. And even Celestia and Luna, they also know that. And since they had used their powers for good, they were allowed to use it. But since Dazzlings came back to school, everyone was on high alert. Even some of the staff had been informed about this. So every single teacher and student kept an eye on them. And everything was just almost like they were watched. Aria tried to ask some other students for help, like if they could try to make help with homeworks or any school projects, but none of the students didn't want to help because of during their bad past. But that was until changed though, after nearly about a week after they came back. Still, everyone was a bit on high alert on this part. But after they had noticed how much the Dazzlings were trying to help at school, they actually had helped Scootaloo, Applebloom, and Sweetibel upon some of the projects they had, and even had helped them to organize some other things after school. And soon, after about almost about a month, They seem to be have been showing to being redeemed themselves. So they are slowly getting more interactive with the other students. And soon after that, they had many friends. And now they didn't see the Dancings as bad guys anymore. In fact, Audacio, she had actually showed great talent in acting, drama. So she joined the the drama club at school. Audacio, since she was in talent in cooking, she joined the cooking classes in school. But Sonata, she in fact were good in almost anything that you could possibly think of. Well, not almost, but there was just one thing that she was good at, and that was actually carpeting. She was just surprised that she could make any good things in carpet. So after that, they decided to join these particular clubs to base some interest and perhaps even try to get them more friends. And after that, nothing else problem. But almost after a year, everything was just going well between them. All of them had new place to stay, new friends, even everything was going well. And even they know that Aria, Sonata, and Audacio did actually spend a lot of time together after school, even at their van they live in. They were tight, close friends. But all of this would suddenly change. Because one day, a new student began starting at high school, and his name was Thunderspeak. Thunderspeak were actually really quiet, shy boy. Even he quickly became friends with Flash Sentry and his friends. But most of the time, he preferred to be alone. He was more quiet person. But there was just one thing that he actually did the most. When he saw Aria and her friends for the first time, he was like, wow, she is beautiful. And that he preferring to Aria Blaze. And from understanding, he had no knowledge about her or her friends' past, or who they actually were. So when he started asking around about them, just to get to know more about them, and Sunset and her friends and other students had told them what they knew, and even knowing that about her bad past, that she was still beautiful. And Thunderspeak, he had decided maybe he could try to ask her out or maybe ask her for help for her homework or something. But every time when he tried to talk to her in person, he was always interrupted by some of her friends or maybe she didn't see him. So every time he was almost even seen by her, he felt heartbroken. And one afternoon, Sunset even noticed Thunderspeak at the local cafe, Sugarcook Corner. She asked him if something was wrong, and he said, not really, just thinking." But she sat down next to him and asked, "You can tell me, we're good friends, aren't we?" And he just nodded and then explained to her, "Wait, wait, are you in love with Aria Blaze?" And he just nodded. "Wow, I didn't see that coming," she said. "Could you maybe ask her?" "Ask her what?" she asked. "If she would maybe go off with me?" "Have you really tried?" "Trust me, I have tried many times, but either when trying to ask her, she was either interrupted by some of her friends, or she didn't hear me, or even passing to see me. I thought maybe I was invisible around her." So Thunderspeak had then thought maybe that if Sunset could ask for him, just in case if that was not the problem. And she'd tried to say that it would be best for him to ask her instead for her. But he pleaded and asked her and begged until she finally agreed to do it. So the next day at the school, Aria Blaze were with her friends when Sunset suddenly walked up to them and asked if she could talk to Aria, just alone, for a moment. So they did. Aria, there is a boy that wants to go out with you. Oh? Who? His name is Thunderspeak. Thunderspeak. Wait, isn't that he the shy guy at our school? And Sunset just nodded. Wait, he actually wants to go out with me? But why hasn't he even tried to ask me myself? At least in person. And Sunset explained. Oh, she said. And she said, what she said to Sunset made that Sunset was a little surprised. But later at lunchtime, Thunderspeak was just sitting by himself when Sunset just walked up to him and sat down. She did small talk first, then he asked her if he had asked for Aria yet, and she just nodded and said that she would like to want to go out with him. And he was just so very surprised that she actually wanted to go out with him. And he said when? On Friday to the movies at 5 p.m. The movies? Oh, I don't know. Hey, you want to go out with her, right? Yeah. And if you want to try, give it a try. If it doesn't even work, then do it right. And the movies, I think that's actually a good idea to go for a first date. And in my opinion, let her decide what kind of movies you want to see. That is the best idea you can do. And he agreed. So on Friday, he was waiting outside the movies for her. At 5 p.m., she showed up, and he was so nervous. He was literally shaking off, scared, nervously. But he actually decided to try to give it a chance to see if it worked. And he let her show us a movie, and which she was surprised that he was letting her decide what kind of movie they were going to see. But he decided to maybe take a comedy, just see if it was something if they both were connected to. And surprising to both, they actually had this a great time. Even after the movies, though. He asked her if she was hungry, and she suggested that she was quite hungry, and since there was a hamburger stand around the corner that was open still, so they decided to go there to have something to eat. And even there, they had this amazing time. They small talked about the movie, what they thought about it, what the characters, and just having a great time. Even afterwards, Audacio showed up and picked her up, and then she said to him that she would see him at school on Monday, and smiled at him. Even when afterwards this, he didn't know if this was just going to be just one time date or perhaps something beyond that, but he was giving a strong hope for that. And in fact, on Monday, she walked up to him and said to him that she had this amazing time and she would like to go out with him again. That surprised him even more. But he said, of course, we can go out anytime you want and where you want to be. And since they both didn't have much money, so they decided maybe that they could go to the park, maybe have a picnic. And that was something that he could actually do. So they went to the park on the next Friday, and even though that he was still nervous this day would be the second date, but he was still just happy to that at least have someone to be with. But he was just still scared if he didn't know if they were perfect for each other. So far, they have just a few things in common. They both like the same food, the same type of movies, but he just wants to have something more else in common. And even after all of this, he started to act like her even more and more for each single day. And soon they were official couple. Even though her friends were a little bit still, at least Dacio were a little bit skeptical on how this relationship would last. Even they all three had dreams to go back to Equestria at first. But since after they find out that there were no way for them to go back, so they had decided to stay in this humor world. But now, Aria Blaze has actually moved on. She had found her true love, and even she didn't want to go anywhere. And after all this happened, though, did something bad happen between them? No, not much. They did actually have some fights over time, but still always worked it out. But one day, after they had finished, when both had finished high school, Thunderspeak started working at the mall at a technical store, mostly for radios, computers, TV shops, sort of things. And Aria Place. She had tried to ask to back this old restaurant that she worked at, and she asked the owner once again if there was a possibility that she could go back there. And surprise to her, he actually let her come back because he even told her one of the waitresses at the store had just quit. But he wasn't hiring her as a waitress. He actually hired her as a chef, or at least a cook. That did surprise her, and he explained that during the time when she was in high school, he had been informed by the principal Celestia about her progress about in school and especially in cooking. And it turns out that the the owner and Principal Celestia knew each other. They're at least acquaintances. So with Celestia's hope and help, she was able to help Aria Blaze to get back her job but work as a cook. And with that she had an amazing time. But that is not only that. They also gave her a much higher in payment, from 200 to almost 1,000, which was a big deal, not only for her but her friends. And after about a year, she had saved up enough money for her friends, so they can still start living in a small apartment. But Area Blaze, she didn't even move in with them. She in fact had moved in with Thunderspeak in his new apartment in town. And but her friends didn't mind that, because they had all accepted that she had moved on, she had found someone that she loves, but she still performs with them sometimes at the markets or things. But they all have found their own particular job as well. But one day something did happen. After that, Area Blaze and Thunderspeak have been living for about almost 2 years. Thunderspeak had found something. He had found a pregnancy test in the bedroom, and he was just stunned, shocked. So he asked Aria about this, like if it was true, if she was pregnant, or. But he didn't try to confront her or anything. He just curiously asked her, but she didn't want the answer. So he asked her again, and still no answer. But then he asked her third time, but with serious tone. And that time she broke out crying. She thought that he would anger at her because that she got pregnant before they were even married. So before even that he could even had anything to say, she just left the apartment and ran all the way to her friend's apartment. He tried to talk to her, but she didn't want to listen. And then he tried to talk to Dacio, but she didn't want to listen either. But the only ones that did listen was Sonata. He talked to Sonata about this, that he wasn't even mad against of Aria. He only came home from work when he found the pregnancy test at the bathroom, and he only talked to her with a serious tone just to ask her if it was true. But she didn't say yes or no. He was just he wasn't even angry at her that if she was pregnant. If she was pregnant, he would be excited to be a dad. But that was the reason before he could even ask her about it more when she just ran away. So he asked Sonata if she could talk to Iria, try to figure out, at least find out if it was true, and telling her if she is pregnant. That didn't wouldn't mean that he didn't hate her, wouldn't want to break up with her. In fact, he would be beyond happy. He always wanted to be a parent himself. So Iria, when she came back home to her friend's apartment after being a walk, she had a talk with Sonata. And Sonata did actually explain to Iria about this. Iria had it all wrong. Because when she heard Thunder speak in a more serious tone, she thought that he wanted to be screaming at her that getting pregnant before even marriage. But when she found out what he told Sonata, she tried to go back home, but still at the same time was scared. But when she did actually came home, she found Thunderspeak on the couch, just watching some TV, and when he saw her, he could see that she was scared, crying. Then he walked up to her and did ask her again if it was true if she was pregnant. But before he was allowing her to say anything, he said, I don't care if you're not pregnant or not. If you are pregnant, I just be all happy. You see, I always want to be a dad. I wasn't even mad at you the first time when I tried to ask you. I was just stunned. I was almost shocked. I wanted to try to I talked with a serious tone trying to get you to answer my question. I didn't want to yell at you because I wasn't even angry. The only way I would say that if you were pregnant, I would be beyond happy. I would start crying myself. And then she did tell him she was actually pregnant. And she was scared. Not only that she thought that he wanted to be with her anymore, or if she was ready to be a mother. She had thought about maybe go to a hospital to have an abortion, or at least wait, maybe put this child on an adoption or something. Hearing that, he was still shocked again. But he told her, if you're not ready to be a mother, I will support it. Anything that you want to be, I'm always here. If you're not ready to be a parent, I still will be with you, no matter what. Hearing those words made her to realize he was true in that. And she just said that she wanted to keep the baby. So for the next couple of months, they planned for something else though. For after only about a few days after that she confirmed, Thunderspeak had bought a ring and proposed to her. She thought that they were getting married because they had a baby, but Thunderspeak had actually been planning for a proposal to her for quite some time. Just he didn't have the money enough to save for the ring, and he just wanted to wait for the right moment. That didn't mean that he had to marry her because she was pregnant. He would marry her even that she didn't want pregnant. And he did actually love her. And they actually had the wedding about almost 3 months later, and a small wedding. Even all after this. A few months later, they had a daughter, and both of them were so happy to see their daughter in her arms. It was beyond anything they had wished for. And when the daughter was about 4 years old, they had another child, a son. When the son was about 2, they had another daughter. And that's how Thunderspeak and Aria Blaze found their true love and got the big family. The end.